Hi everyone, I'm Delaware House Majority Whip Ed Osinski, and welcome back to Roll Call. Yesterday, we wrapped up a very busy second to last week of legislative session. Over the past 3 days, the House released more than 80 measures out of committee, passed roughly 50 bills, and recognized several guests. Here are some of the highlights from this week. Starting off with the committee action, House members met to release many bills, including Senate Bill 268, sponsored by Representative Cook, Senate Bill 9, sponsored by Representative Heffernan, Senate Bill 161, sponsored by Representative Chewicka, Senate Bill 321, sponsored by Representative Burns, Senate Bill 23, sponsored by Representative Johnson, Senate Bill 45, sponsored by Representative Bush, Senate Bill 301, sponsored by Speaker Minor Brown, and Senate Bill 279, sponsored by Representative Smith. To view all the legislation that was released from every House committee and to go back and watch these hearings, please visit the link on your screen. Moving over to the chamber, this week the House passed a few resolutions, including House Concurrent Resolution 140, recognizing Communities in Schools of Delaware Day, and Senate Concurrent Resolution 219, recognizing Juneteenth, National Independence Day. We also recognize many guests, including Dr. Annie Norman, who is retiring after 40 years of service at the Delaware Division of Libraries. The young men who participated in the 2026 session of Delaware's Boys State, members of the Lynx Incorporated, and the 2026 Jerome R. Lewis Fellows. And to wrap up our week, we passed over 50 bills. Among them were House Bill 233, sponsored by Representative Burns. This bill would establish a comprehensive framework to protect Delaware ratepayers from the costs associated with large energy use facilities. House Bill 373, sponsored by Representative Heffernan, which would establish requirements and restrictions for the manufacture, distribution, and sale of THC-infused beverages. House Bill 445, sponsored by Representative Heffernan. This legislation requires large energy use facilities to produce renewable energy within the state to power their operations to prevent a drain on the electric grid. House Bill 350, sponsored by Representative Neal. This act requires the Department of Education, in collaboration with schools, to make recommendations regarding the advisability of incorporating homeschool students into public school extracurriculars. House Bill 180, sponsored by Majority Leader Harris. This measure is the first leg of a constitutional amendment that would modernize Delaware's voting provisions and restore voting rights for those convicted of a felony who served their sentence or were pardoned. House Bill 430, sponsored by Majority Leader Harris. That is also a constitutional amendment that would ban corporations and other artificial entities from voting in any election in the state of Delaware. House Bill 425, sponsored by Speaker Minor Brown. This bill increases the salary supplement for nationally certified school nurses and school counselors from 6% to 12%. And we passed House Bill 444, also known as the Delaware John Lewis Voting Rights Act, to restore and enhance protections against voting discrimination that applied to Delaware under the Federal Voting Rights Act before those protections were weakened by the Supreme Court. Well, that's all I have for you guys this week. As a reminder, the House will return to Legislative Hall for session next week on Tuesday, June 23rd. In the meantime, feel free to visit the General Assembly's website and the Delaware House Dems website to catch up on all the legislative action from this week. Before you go, be sure to follow Delaware House Dems on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky to keep up with our legislative action. And while you are here, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week on Roll Call.